zenbishslap.com. So to get things underway today, I've selected a passage from the Big Book. It's going to come on page 66. And it's going to go through to page 67. And it starts at the very last paragraph of page 66 of the Big Book. Ready, Paul?
Yeah.
Okay. This was our course. We realized that the people who wronged us were perhaps spiritually sick. Though we did not like their symptoms and the way they disturbed us, they, like ourselves, were sick too. We asked God to help us to show them the way of tolerance, patience, and that we would cheerfully grant a sick friend. When a person offended, we said to ourselves, "This is a sick man. How can I be helpful to him? God, save me from being angry. Thy will be done." We avoid retaliation or argument. We wouldn't treat sick people that way. If we do, we destroy our chance of being helpful. We cannot be helpful to all people, but at least God will show us how to take a kindly and tolerant view of each and every one. Referring to our list again, putting out of our minds the wrongs others had done, we resolutely looked for our own mistakes. Where had we been selfish, dishonest, self-seeking, or frightened? Though a situation had not been entirely our fault, we tried to disregard the other person involved entirely. Where were we to blame? The inventory was ours, not the other man's. When we saw our faults, we listed them. We placed them before us in black and white. We admitted our wrongs honestly, and we were willing to set these matters straight. All right, Paul, that's the reading for today. Thank you, everybody, for being here.
Thanks, Mike, Paul, alcoholic. Nice to see everybody. Yeah, this is instructions for trying to change, or at least entertain a possibility of having a new attitude towards others, and perhaps seeing them as sick just as we are. The idea is we're going to look at the inventory process and see our role in things, but in real life, it's not like an absolute forgetting of what happened from the other end. Yeah, you're not going to be like the victim of the martyr of every situation. It's just in the inventory, you want to concentrate on your role in things. It's not just to exempt other people's role in things. That comes later. But for this inventory, we want to concentrate on what we did or didn't do, not what they did or didn't do. Yeah. So, these are just the instructions, and basically, obviously, most people, when they're carrying a resentment or being had by a resentment, aren't looking at the people who are the object of the resentment as sick people. We think they should have known better, or they didn't recognize my incredible magnificence, or don't you know who you're dealing with, all this stuff. So it's just it's an instruction of how to go through the first inventory. Yeah. Now, the way we're looking at it, we're not trying to look at our role in things. We're trying to, not saying that this isn't a way to look at it, but we're just trying to emphasize another way of looking at it based on page 64, the third paragraph, with that sentence, being convinced that self manifested in various ways is what has defeated us. We considered its common manifestations. Yeah, so that's a different type of inventory, really. It has a different target. We're not looking at we're going to look at our role in things, because our role and self's role are sort of intermingled, and we don't know which is which. So we do an inventory with the hopes of at least starting to recognize some of the common manifestations of self in our lives: resentment, fears, and harming other people in the pursuit of what we want, looking at the sexual arena. So with the hopes that we start seeing some of the common ones, maybe we'll have eyes to see the more subtle ones. Yeah. But in other words, it's a given that we're out to lunch, obviously. At this point, we've been taken over by something, and that something has us blind to that something that took us over. Yeah. So it's sort of like, yeah, we've got to do an inventory. And in a weird way, we talked about it last week. In fact, the fourth column is really the first column. It's prior to the first column. Yeah. The reason why I resent Wendy isn't because what she did, it's because I look at everything from a self-centered, selfish, fearful position. So basically, any movement she makes, I'll read into it as a threat to me. Yeah, because of the extreme self-centeredness. So I don't see that I may be better off when she leaves. My head doesn't see it that way. She's leaving me, basically. Yeah, that's it. It's very not, you don't have much subtlety there. It's just black or white. So we have to, because we're so out to lunch based on being taken over by something, we've got to do an inventory starting sort of the way we see it, and then switch and then adding a fourth column. Because if you just did the first two columns, I resent, and then Wendy for her leaving me. Most people drinking today are experts at the first two columns. I mean, they're constantly doing them and sharing them with their drinking party or whatever. I mean, they're sort of, but they forget the third and fourth column. Therefore, they never get to what's before the first and second column, which is our role in it. And our role in it isn't really our role in it. It has the word self in both of the two basic ones: self-centered, self-seeking and frightened, and self-centered, or what, selfish. So basically, there's no Paul in there at all. It's selfish and self-seeking and frightened. It's that which has defeated us, and we're supposed to be looking at its manifestations. Yeah, there it goes. So some of its manifestations we call us. We start from there. We're not looking at the manifestations, we're looking from the manifestations. We're looking from selfishness, self-centeredness, and being afraid we're going to lose what we have and not get what we want. Yeah? That's where we're looking from. We don't see it as a manifestation. We see it as us, really. We see it as, that's where I live from. Yeah, so we have to do a basic inventory, and not just 1 and 2, yeah, but 3 and 4, and see, by using the third column, meaning the instinctual agenda that we all share. Yeah, we're looking for food, clothing, and shelter, and then it just gets blown up into wants and needs get mixed up. And there's something that's running that inventory, that pursuit of those needs, yeah, and those desires, which is this self-centered point of view, yeah. And so by having the first and second column go through the third, we're starting to get to what's before the first and second column, yeah. And then we go to the fourth, which really puts us right back to what's before the first column. Yeah, which is an attitude of selfishness, self-centeredness, yeah, living in a fear that I'm going to lose what I have and not get what I want, yeah. Basically, that's the condition we're in. It's not something that we do. We live from there, yeah. And I feel like when they talk about the inconsiderate and dishonesty, those are just demonstrations of self-centeredness and self-seeking and frightened. Yeah, I don't think they're really separate from the idea of self. So basically, I'm in a condition that I don't call a condition. I call it me. Yeah. And the other person is causing a condition for that condition called me that I don't freaking like, or that doesn't like. And therefore I have a resentment. And in any other situation that just reminds the head of that other situation, there comes the resentment. So now I'm dealing with Tom, but the resentment is about my mother. So how are you going to get a solution? You're not really even mad at Tom, you're mad at your mother. And it's just being played out with Tom and Mary and Jill and Sue and stuff, yeah? How are you going to get out? I mean, if you can't, if in a way, when we see the word exit, we call it enter. And when we see the word enter, we call it exit, you know? We're trying to get out of what we're not in and get into what we're not out of. It's insane, really. So in a way, you could switch the whole inventory and just look at the fourth column, yeah, and say, all right, before me getting mad at Wendy because she left me, there was selfishness and self-centeredness, there was inconsideration, and there was dishonesty. Wendy and that event triggered something that's already there, yes? But the way most people are diagnosing it is, oh, I'm just fine, just completely cool, and then Wendy leaves me and I'm fucking super pissed off at her. But where did that pissed offness come from? It didn't come from Wendy, it came from us, yeah? I mean, it's sort of like we're an accident waiting to happen, yeah? And then when the car runs into this, oh, there's another accident. I was just minding my own business, but you're at a lot of scenes of a lot of crimes, yeah? You're not minding your own business. You're fucking neck up into it, yeah? So this and so many other things just brought me to my knees and realized I'm outmatched, yeah? I'm just overwhelmed. And the only access I have is through a sense of surrender to something greater than myself. Yeah, so that greaterness can be brought into this myopic view, and maybe I can see things differently. Maybe I can start really actually seeing people as sick, not trying to, convince myself or say it like a mantra, but actually see other people as just as sick as I am, or I was, yes? And maybe there's a clear empathy then starts coming from there, yeah? So yeah, do the inventory and look at your role and your resentments and shit like that. And then maybe look at the same inventory and take the view of self-manifestations and see really, they're not antagonistic. I think one is going to clear up the other very well. Yeah. By seeing your role, you're going to see self's role. Yeah. Yeah, so why not look at it that way? Yeah, all right, we've concentrated on my role. Let's look at self's role. Just like we seem very easy to be able to give great gratitude and honor to some higher power that's doing for us what we can't do for ourselves, but we're totally unclear that a lower power was doing through us what we would never have done by ourselves. We're very unclear about that. Yeah, we give all credit to God, but we're not giving any credit to that lower thing. We're blaming ourselves for that. Yeah? So we have the ability, it's demonstrated by our sense of gratitude and honoring what the program and the higher has done for me, what I could not do for myself. Why not apply that to what was before? Yeah? Yeah, so basically, you have a concrete attitude and they're suggesting, hey, maybe you could look at other people as sick. Yeah? Because they are, and you are. Wow, it's not like moving, the fucking Sphinx from Egypt to Hoboken. It's just, yeah, here's a possibility of finally seeing something differently. I mean, baby steps in a way. So, Yeah, do an inventory and see your role in things, and then take the same inventory and look at self manifestations. Yeah. And maybe you'll see, how does self manifestations get away with hiding in my role in things? Yeah? How is it good? It seems so obvious, yet it seems completely hidden. There must be an act going on that's keeping me blind to this stuff, which is, I feel, the root of the problem. The mental act of being identified as self. Yeah? And if we're listening to our head all day, we're basically paying attention to its act of being identified as self all day. Yeah. And then we live in an, ass backward world, really. Yeah. We don't see our role in things. Jesus Christ, that's insane. Yet we're all that we think about all day. But then when it comes to our role in things, oh, I'm just a neutral, innocent, I just got caught up in this affair. It's freaking crazy. So, yeah. This isn't really about, you know, like milking the most you can milk out of a step. We're trying to speak about a dynamic. Yeah. I feel the disease of alcoholism, or whatever you want to call it, a demonic possession, a taking over, an intrusion of occupation. There's something that's not of us that's running us. Yeah. And through the 12 steps in this program, we can see its effects or its manifestations, with the hope that they will lead us to seeing the cause clearly. And the cause is not you and I. Yeah? I feel if that's cleared up, everything else gets illuminated. Yeah? It doesn't take away from the steps, it actually adds to them. You see a whole lot more. Oh, yeah.
Awesome, Paul. Any hands up? Oh, okay, we have Gabe. Gabe, we have your hand up. Come on in.
Hi,
Let me just say one more thing, Mike. Let me say one more thing. So,
absolutely,
in a way, when we get to the fourth column and see our role in thing, the selfishness and self-centeredness seems like an act, but it's a condition before. Yeah?
Yeah.
It's not, oh, suddenly because Wendy left me, I became selfish and self-seeking. The selfishness and self-seeking was there before. Yeah, just to be clear. Yeah.
Yeah. I never saw it.
Well, yeah, that's the point. Because if something took you over, it would have to make you seem blind to it, or you would fucking revolt, or you would fucking entertain, hey, how can I be rid of this? Yeah, but when you're calling it you, it handcuffs those possibilities, because you're trying to be free as self. And it's caught in the statement, self can't get out of self. That's the whole dilemma, yeah? We're trying to wiggle out of that wiggling as the wiggling, so to speak, yeah? It doesn't work. All right, so thanks, Gabe.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks. That's cool. I haven't, that was great. I never heard the kind of reversal of the 4 columns that way. That was really cool. One question I've kind of had for a few weeks here. You talk about, giving the higher power credit and the lower power, being identified as us doing it. Now, would you consider that more to be like, a higher and a lower power, or a power that's being kind of interpreted or run through the parasite kind of a deal? It's like the same.
I would say the second, but we're using something to illuminate an idea. So yeah, so higher, lower. We're trying to, or like basically they use the old employer, new employer. There's not a mention of an old employer. It's implied by the idea of a new employer.
Yeah.
To have a new employer, it sounds like you must have been employed before. or who would be your first employer or whatever. But you had an old employer, and for me, the emphasis on learning would be about the old employer. Yeah, you'll find out about the new employer, but I mean, it's important to learn about the old employer. Yeah,
Yeah.
so you can recognize it. Yes.
Same, like
Yeah. So
the same
yeah, I
power,
feel it does. Yes. Yeah. It's
same
just
power
power,
expressed a
but
different
it's
way.
power being directed. Yeah. Yeah. It's power being directed. Yeah.
Yeah.
So something, if you had a huge amount of electricity, it could light up a whole city, or it could fucking, be used to electrocute 50 convicts. Yeah. It's the power. Yeah.
Copy that. And you said selfish self-centeredness is an act, not a state. Is that what you said, or an act, not
No,
a
it's a state. It's a state. Selfishness, self-centeredness is the condition.
condition?
Extreme selfishness and self-centeredness is the condition of a chronic takeover by that parasite. Yes.
So it wasn't me
Yeah.
doing something. It's just the nature of the beast, so to speak.
Exactly. That's why the nature of the beast demonstrates very similar manifestations to all of us. Yeah. That's why, you don't run into a new alcoholic. You just see the same old alcoholism taking over new people. Yeah. Yeah. You don't know. Like when you meet somebody and you know they're fucked, it's not that you met Steve. You recognize the alcoholism. So you know they're fucked. Yeah. Because Steve is not the primary force. It's the alcoholism in Steve's life. It's not Steve.
Like
Yeah.
in the zombie movie where the pupils just turn black, it's like,
Yeah, we don't have that. That's one of its good moves. A zombie movie is sort of like a mimicking of conditions. They make it more extreme so you can see the obvious, but we feel the obvious without recognizing it. Yeah. I mean, when you go to a meeting and you hear people share, and you're sitting in a terminal uniqueness thinking every thought that's occurring is yours and you're doing it and all the feelings have been yours and all the things you ever did was you doing it, and you hear people share their thoughts, their feelings, and their reactions, it sure sounds like yours. So I mean, if people have what I call mine, it can't be mine. It's a shared condition. Yes. So we're like a fleet of Fords with one computer chip running the GPS. Yeah. The Ford keeps talking as if it makes the left and it self parks. But when it's always in the parking lot of institution, jails, and death, you can see something else is driving the fucking Ford. Yeah. Yeah. Fords from all around the world wouldn't end up parking in the three same parking spaces, institution, jails, and death. You have to see something's driving all the Fords, and it ain't the Ford. Yeah. Just like they're making these self-driving cars, we think we're a self-driving person. We don't realize something is using us a lot. Yeah. It could be what we call the higher power. It could be called what we call the lower power. But we're being employed, meaning we're being used. Yes. I know it's terrible to entertain thinking we're the source of everything and the center of the universe, but I feel we're more like a sail than the wind. Yeah. We get moved by the wind, but without the wind, there'd be no moving. So the sail doesn't do the moving. The sail moves because of the wind. Yeah. I would say there's life in us and power, and that power can be directed by let's say, two dominant possibilities: finite self and the infinite. Yeah, there you go. I've had, we've had enough samples of the finite self. Yeah. Yeah. Perhaps there's a better way. Yes. I love the word perhaps. Yeah. Yeah. It sort of seems like you can still make a decision, but really there's a better way. And that's trusting the infinite, right? Rather than finite self. Now, then you've got to learn how self neutralizes that, because when you're trusting the infinite as finite self, it's reinforcing the faith in finite self. Yeah. So it's best to really start questioning the trust in finite self, and you'll find yourself in the experience of having faith in the infinite. Yeah. You will. You'll find yourself there. Yeah. Mm. Anyone else, Mike? Yeah.
Yeah, we should do good. Gabe, you good, right? You good? All right, thank you, Gabe. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your question. Now we have Elijah, King Baby.
Yeah. Hello, Eligio.
Hello.
Oh, it's
Hello, Paul.
another. It's another pamper. It's another diaper change. All right.
I'm here for my diaper change, Paul. So, so, so I like the self-driving car. So, okay. So I feel like it is a self-driving car, but I guess it depends what I identify with. But can't I drive it sometimes and not let it drive itself? Is that what you're insinuating? That I can drive sometimes?
Well, the idea that you're driving it sometimes is the illusion of the self-driving car, in a way. Yeah, you can have that. Yeah, if you do the next right thing. Yeah. Yeah. If you feel like you can, if you feel like you can drive the car yourself, then do the next right thing. And if you don't know what the next right thing is, ask to be guided. Yeah. So
when it's red, don't go. When it's green, drive.
yeah, probably. That's simple. Yeah. But usually you'll find yourself lengthening the aspect of the yellow. Yeah. You'll be really in the red, but you'll be saying it's yellow. Yeah. You just watch it. This idea, you give the head an inch, it will start making up miles. Yeah. So
Okay. Thank you, Paul.
yeah. I mean, if you made a decision to turn your will and your life over to the care of a higher power, that would be basically turning over the wheel of the car, yes?
Yes.
Yeah, because you've been in enough crashes and shit like that, you've given up the role of driver, basically. Yeah, you need to be directed.
The cars are actually going to be better drivers than we are in that analogy.
Yes.
Kind of fits.
Yes. Yes, but I wasn't using it for that point. I was using the thing of basically we're going to go where we go, and we have a dialogue or a narrative that we're doing everything. Yeah, which isn't true. Yes. Some shit the head won't even try to claim it. It's like beating the heart. You don't believe you're beating the heart, do you?
No.
But
No.
in the same sentence, you believe you're the thinker of thoughts, which is incredible. A much more subtle process, thinking, is claimed, and the crude process of muscle beating isn't. Yeah? Which gets you in more trouble. Yeah. When we accept certain conditions, it allows the heart to beat. Fucking great. Yeah. We don't go home and allot 3 hours to digest last week's food. We're not the digester. Yeah. These are not, and they work better without us being involved in them, really. If it was you beating the heart, you would never have made it till 9 o'clock today. You would have got
Yeah.
distracted and you would have passed out. You would have passed away. You wouldn't. You would, yeah. But now on these other things of, I am definitely the doer of every fucking action. But you get moved to the toilet, don't you?
Yeah.
You say, I took a shit, but if you hadn't taken the shit, there was going to be shit.
Whether I wanted it or not.
Basically, the shit was
my
not
God.
based on you taking it. It was going to soil you or, be deposited somewhere else. So basically, the stubborn, and the language supports it, really. It keeps insinuating a lot of shit that that truly ends up binding us to this old idea. And yeah, that's why everyone's so dumbfounded and so surprised and so bewildered, because they're not seeing anything clearly. Yeah, they assume this and they think from that assumption things should fall into place. And when things don't fall into place, they're fucking bewildered, but they don't realize it starts from where you start. Yeah. So there's going to be faith in something. There's faith in the finite self. What does that look like? Well, a credible believing in all the thoughts that are appearing to imply that you were the doer, you're going to be the doer, you are the doer, when you can't do most of the shit that keeps your body alive. You can't pump the blood. You can't digest the food. Yeah? You can't just say, I'm going to take a shit at 8:30 in the morning. The shit tells you when it's going to be taken, really. Yeah? But this whole story of us, it's just way out there. We need an editor, and it can't be self. Yeah, we need something to proofread the story and just start making some corrections because you just can't keep
Like,
living this narrative. It doesn't work. Yeah.
like the doer, and then I'm checking the doer. I think I'm doing, then I go back and check the doer, see if I'm doing it correctly. But I know that's not.
Well, there's doing, and then the doing is claimed to imply there's a doer. And then the emphasis, instead of on the living, goes on the one who's alive. And then there's the obsession. Now, all the qualities of obsession now have an object to obsess over, which is you, pictured as a body, which really represents you as a doer, a thinker, a feeler, a taster, a toucher. Yes? So now there's this object in the head that can be obsessed over, and so it goes. Yeah. Yeah. And for us, it's an extreme condition, so it drives us to do shit it may not drive other people to do, which is to seek relief. No matter what the consequences will be tomorrow, I want to feel different right now. It's an unbearable demand that keeps ringing all day. And the wisdom doesn't stop it. The love of parents doesn't stop it. The police can't stop it. There's no human power for some of us can stop it, yet it can be stopped. Yeah. So we have to seek a source that we're not usually relying on. We've got to give up having great confidence in a failed system and admit our defeat. Yeah. That's it. I'm outmatched. It's that freaking simple. My problem isn't drinking and using, it's living sober a day at a time. Yeah, it is. I felt completely outmatched, and to cope with that, I drank or I got loaded to try to forget it. Yeah. And then, but it keeps coming back and reminding me. So more and more, more and more. And I was getting less and less out of it. It was a terrible payoff cost ratio. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I like that. Thank you, Paul.
So this is the opportunity. And if you're a real addict and an alcoholic and you put anything else in front of that, it's not going to work probably because it's the fucking elephant in the room that has diarrhea. It's going to keep shitting a lot. Yeah. So you can try to avoid it or take its place by going into pseudo spirituality and shit. But if you're a real addict, it's going to prop up its ugly little head. Yeah. First things first. Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Mm. All right. Thanks. Nice to see you, bro.
I don't see any other hands up, but Paul, I wanted to touch on something. Kurt and I, we were talking the other day, and I often hear you say, and especially with the readings, our role in things and our mistakes. But oftentimes, like, okay, when my head hears that, I think of it translates our role in things as to my role in things. And then oftentimes I hear in the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous, I hear people say it all the time, my part. I came clear on my part. And me and Kurt were talking about this, and he had mentioned that one of his sponsors was telling him that, you know, the idea of my part in things does something within the mindset that if I have my part in something, then you have your part in that same something, and then it just gets blown up from there because now I'm going to give you the bigger part. Can you talk on that a little bit? On like, I love the way that you say that our role in things, because it keeps it clear.
Well, yeah, because they're talking about then. The emphasis isn't on Bill, Steve, and Mary, it's on the alcoholic, which is an hour, yes? We're dealing with one, let's say, strain of virus that's infected 1 million people. So it's our, yeah, rolling things. Yeah, not my rolling things. Yeah, yeah, because what I do as my is part and parcel of the same thing that you do as a my. So it's our, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel alcoholism has us. Yeah.
Yeah.
The language would always like to put it secondary and say Paul has alcoholism. Again, Paul is really the bigger problem. Yeah. But I would say alcoholism has us. Yeah. That's how it feels to me. I do not feel that Paul had alcoholism. If that's the way Paul had alcoholism, it was like Paul had the bull when it was bull riding it and gets thrown off in about 5 seconds. Paul lost control of the bull. No, the bull fucking threw Paul off. The primary thing is the bull, not you. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the language is constantly focusing it in a very narrow, myopic view, and you can't see alcoholism that way, or you'll be taking it completely personal. Yeah, when it's actually an impersonal takeover. Yeah, it's like a foreign pathogen in a way has taken a lot of people over. Yeah, and it's living through all of us. And you can recognize it by our commonly shared traits. Yeah, because what we're calling to be our traits are truly what we call now alcoholic traits. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So the dilemma is there's an identification with the traits of the alcoholism, and that identification is supported by the language, and the traits of alcoholism are called ours. And therefore, there's the bondage of self. Yeah. Yes. So there's got to be a seeing of something. I mean, to me, the idea of the disease really produced big effects the first year. there was so much relief when I got the idea that I had a disease, that it wasn't a morally bankrupt condition. I was just taking, I had a disease like cancer or something. Cancer had me. That brought a lot of relief, because I was like pinned to the mat with the idea that I did it all. Yes. And fuck, that it was just way, way too much. So it really opened up a lot of space. And when the space opens up, there's more seeing. Yeah. And then, as it says in the book, this power is going to constantly reveal more to us. Yeah. And that's what happens. How that revelation can occur is through space. Yeah. We need space. When you're in that fucking myopic closet, you're not seeing shit, really. Yeah. So we come out of it through service and whatever, through, we get like paroled by doing esteemable acts. So the warden begrudgingly gives us a family visit and shit. And then basically after a while, you don't have to fucking kiss the warden's ass. But in the beginning you need to. You got to convince yourself. Yeah, so you do actions, but the actions aren't the primary condition later on. Those actions are habits now. You just live that way. Yeah. So I'm not in a struggle to do what I usually do. I just do what I usually do. Yeah. Because what I usually do is what I used to do. Yes. Yeah.
And that becomes the way of life that we talk about.
Yes, exactly. And I don't see it as, as it says, it's the easier, softer way, really.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, there's heavy lifting, and there can be heavy lifting all the way through, but there's not heavy lifting all the way through. That's not the norm. Yes. There's all these different possibilities. I know we emphasize the beginning part of it, but sometimes it's good to share about the later stages of recovery, whatever you want to call it later. Let's talk about pages in the book. Talk about page 84 and stuff, 85, because it shows that the role that you are playing has changed dramatically. Now you're being placed in a position of neutrality with no thought or effort on your part. It's a miracle. Things just happen. Your role has changed, other than I've got to do this, I got to do that. Yeah.
Right.
And that's just through 80 something pages of the book. Yeah. Yeah. So after 30 something years of sobriety, it's the same way of life, but it looks a lot different. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you don't have one foot in the other way and one foot in the new way. You're pretty much in the new way now. Yeah.
All in.
All in. You're all in. Yeah, exactly. And then you can recognize that which is saying you're not as not you. You start having an ability to see false evidence before it starts appearing real. Yeah. Fuck yeah. Yeah.
And so that's where the real relief comes.
Well, yeah, because the head's hatching a lot of crimes, and if you go with it, you're going to be an accessory to the fucking crime. Yeah. You're going to be used to make a big splash. If it's just in the head and it's seen as false evidence and it doesn't provoke an action, it's almost like no one else is the wiser, It's just that ship has passed. It didn't shipwreck and shit. It wasn't like an oil tanker dumping billions of gallons in the sea of life. It's just that possibility came and went and no shit happened. That's great, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Instead of having a feeling that person's fucking with me and then causing an altercation. Yes. Now you have a thought that person's fucking with you, like, oh, wow. You trotted that thing out again. It's like the 800,000th time you try to, catch the fish with that piece of bait. It's dead, it's dead on the hook. Yeah. So now you're like wild, not caught salmon. You're the ones that don't get eaten. I don't want to be wild caught salmon. I want to be wild not caught salmon.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's a lot the head is presenting. Yes, that's false. Yes.
All the time.
So if we take it to be true and it compels an action, we're now on a different ball game. That action that it compels can demand 2 years of urinalysis tests or probation or getting fired from a job or a broken relationship. Yeah.
Yeah.
The pollution that thought, that false evidence compelling us to do something out here, that pollution that it produces, yeah, is what shit. So it's stopped at this point before it manifests, which is awesome. That's why you want to recognize the manifestations of self before they manifest. That's why we do a past inventory. So by hopefully seeing how they did it in the past, they won't be manifesting so much in the future. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great, Paul. Thank you.
Yeah. If you brought in, let's say if you brought in an objective arbiter of thoughts and they brought back the assessment, I would say probably 90 something percent of the thought content is false evidence. It's just fucking riffing on phobias and latent anxieties and fears. Yes?
Mhm.
And it's attempting to compel an action or at least paint a picture of how things are, how things were, and how things are going to be. Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when those take place, I just disregard them. I don't claim them. I don't pay attention to them. I take them to 6 and 7.
I don't know. You'll find out. You'll definitely find out what happens when you do claim them and shit like
Yeah.
that. So you're going to learn either way.
I have it already.
Yeah, you can't help learn. So there you go. Hopefully you don't need any more active learning. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you seemingly forget, you'll have a nice slap and come to your senses quickly. And then you can make amends and shit like that. And
Right.
yeah.
Okay.
It's
Right.
usually the cover up is worse than the crime, isn't it? Yeah.
Absolutely.
You don't want to lose face, so you don't make the amend, and then shit prevails. So you just fucking, yeah. I did something stupid, I'm living a life that tries to not do something stupid, and I recommit myself to that life of not doing that something stupid that I did to you, to others, yeah, or to you. There you go. I've made my declaration of amend. It's coming from my life of recovery. There you have it. Yes?
Wow. That seems so simple.
Well, it is. It's much. What makes it harder when the shit amasses,
Okay.
You got to do that big inventory. It's much easier for like a mop up crew when there's not so much fucking to mop up. Yeah. Yeah. So.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just, yeah. You don't want it to build up because then, of course, the mass and the weight of it is going to weigh on us. Yeah. And it's going to maybe produce an irritability, restless, and discontent. And then something that didn't look attractive may look attractive. Like, I think I can get away with some wine at this dinner and whatever. And if you're a real addict or an alcoholic, you're probably not going to succeed in getting away with it. Yeah.
Right.
You may look like you are, but give it a few months and you're fucked,
Right.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Thank you,
But
Paul.
yeah. Sometimes the ships just sail. Sometimes they need to be stopped and investigated. Sometimes it's just, I don't know. I don't see any rote formality to it. You're awake, you're available, and what's needed to be done will happen. Sometimes you don't even pay attention to most of it. Other times, if it seems to be a chronic visitor to your little area, then you maybe have to stop the boat and look at it. Yeah.
Okay.
Obviously, with the eyes of the higher power involved. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and tell the truth. Yeah. This is how, uh, one thing I like about long-term sobriety is a lot of stuff that can run us from below won't come up unless the coast is clear up here. Yeah. It's nice to have a sober life because then the old shit comes up and you can tell the truth about it. If you're in a lot of drama and fucking agitation and going crazy, it stays, safely below, but it's very, very influential. Yeah.
Yeah.
When you live a sober light, that light sort of brings the shit up for review, and you can bring it to 6 and 7, and therefore you travel lighter. You do, because there's a lot of shit in the SS Michael that's unsaleable goods. Really, they should be, yeah, disposed
Yeah.
of, environmentally correct. Yeah, that's how I feel. I feel
Yeah.
about it. I had dreams last night. I had dreams last night that were patterns of old ideas, and I did 6 and 7 with it, really. I
Oh,
woke
wow.
up and I said, I'm entirely ready to have this configuration that I just went through
Mhm.
changed, and I asked that power to do it. And then I get on with the morning.
No,
Yeah.
no, that's a great example of when and how to do it. Thank you, Paul.
Well, yes, a lot of times the old patterns appear in the dreamings when you're dreaming at night because you have sort of like a typical theme in a lot of dreams. Yeah. And that theme
Yeah.
could maybe go under review. Maybe it's an old traumatic anxiety that's has expired long ago. It's time to have the energy in that reclaimed, yeah, and put to better use. Yeah. So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Before we get too, oh, we still have a couple of questions. Can I bring Gary in for a question?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Gary, come on in.
Thanks. Hey, Paul. Um, so one of the ways that I'm noticing this process works, at least in this mind, is I'll catch myself, that the tendency to sort of at least think about acting out. And then there's this tendency to go into shame and guilt over that. It's like, oh my God, there I go again. I'm totally, I haven't recovered, et cetera, et cetera. But what I love about your message is I can catch it right there. There's a catching of it right there. Oh, there's that shame and guilt because
Yeah.
this process has claimed to be the doer of it. And so the shame and guilt follow hard upon the noticing of that tendency, of that thought process. And, as long as it's claimed to be mine, I'm out of luck, man. I'm shit out of luck. I'm going down with the ship there. So I really appreciate what you share, because it seems like as long as you know, self is running the show, there's no, it's glued to the sinking ship. It's not going to get away from it. And when that's seen as possibly not true, it's like, there can be more space, like you say. It can, well, maybe that's not me. Maybe this is a sinking ship that's not me. So,
Yes. Yeah. Exactly. Then suddenly, when you entertain that, you suddenly see the boat that you can take off the ship.
yeah,
You
there's a
do.
better way.
Yeah. Because while you're taking yourself to be the ship, you don't see this, whatever they call it, the rescue
Life.
boat.
Yeah,
But
the
as soon as you
lifeboat.
realize you're not the ship, there's a lot of rescue boats.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Mm.
Yeah. And that idea of the guilt and shame, bring that to 6 and 7 too, when you recognize it. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. Because, see, you didn't even do anything, and it was using the possibility of you thinking about doing something to promote guilt and shame. You gotta fucking, you're not even getting any of the fun that you thought you may get from doing it. You're getting all the guilt and shame.
That's
So
right.
I'd turn that immediately over. It's like bringing you think you have a full bottle, but it's an empty bottle. You might as well get the deposit. Bring the empty bottle back and get get the nickel. They'll add up, I'll tell you, over time. You're thinking, oh no, it's fucking empty. Yeah, just get the deposit for it. Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah, can you imagine that? That's amazing. You're not even doing anything, and it's producing guilt and shame because you just were thinking
Yeah.
about
I was
doing it.
thinking about it.
It's incredible. It's unbelievable, really. You would think, oh, I'll only feel guilt and shame by doing it. No, 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 no. Yes, it will use the thoughts about it being presented as you having the thought triggers the guilt and shame as you the doer. So bring the whole thing to 6 and 7 because you're not getting out of it. You're not.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm.
That's the beauty of it, but you're not that's in it. See, you're the seeing of it. And now there's more emphasis on the seeing than what's seen. Yeah, so you're seeing more of Gary instead of Gary looking. Yeah, you're
Yeah.
seeing more of Gary. Yeah,
Yeah.
because you're not seeing from Gary, which is great. Yeah, let's call it spirit or whatever, awareness. It doesn't matter, but the only possibility. Gary isn't the only location of seeing. Yeah. Yeah.
Mm. Mm. Yeah. The brownie camera.
There's a lot of seeing of Gary, tell you the truth, all day, really. Yeah. Seeing of the imaginary action figure. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Thanks, Gary.
Thanks.
Yeah. Thank you.
Great. We have one more question. PK, you have a question for Paul today?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, I'm going to show the cat. Paul, I just really immensely enjoy the seeming sense of you and your pointing. I mean, it's just insane. I mean, because in a way you're like pointing us, redirecting us back to ourselves and also to the unknown to see what happens. And I just, to echo kind of what Gary was saying, it's just, to me, it's amazing. It's just really so refreshing. You know, you're not really telling people what to do. You're kind of inviting them. And it's so freaking empowering, man. I love it, man. So I just really, you know, I'm sure in a way, I'm probably speaking for, you know, preaching to the choir. Everybody here obviously digs the message, or else they probably wouldn't be here. So I just really want to thank you. You know, I just love it, man. I appreciate it. It's awesome, man. That's all I got.
I'm gonna record PK, and when I wake up in the morning, I'll turn them on, and then when I go to sleep at night, I'll turn them on. I'll feel so much better.
Time to make the
Thank you,
smoothie.
thank you, PK.
Gotta have some
Yeah.
bagels.
I gotta have. I'm relegated to gluten-free bagels, which I've run into some good ones up in Portland. They
There you
were
go.
very good. Yeah.
All right. Thank you, brother.
All right. So, who else? Anyone else?
No, that's all the questions for today, Paul. Oh,
No, we
wait,
got
Ruby
we
Rose.
got Ruby Rose.
I'm
Oh,
sorry,
we have
Ruby.
Ruby Rose.
Yeah, she came in undetected. She's come on in,
It
Ruby.
takes a while for a message from Kansas to get to us. Yeah. All right.
Yeah,
It's Ruby Rose.
yeah.
She's like the last. She's the lost outpost.
There we go. Ruby, I asked you to unmute. There we are. Try again, Ruby.
Come in, Ruby. Come in, Ruby.
Yeah.
Now, can you hear
Yes.
me now?
Thank you.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Well, somebody's got to do the outpost. I'm good with that. I like that.
That's good. Yeah, we need you.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're like a
I know.
missionary.
I am straight up. I listening to everyone on here, and you glean so much, which is great, because I'm one of those people that will go out into the fields and take what they leave, because why not? And then this morning I was talking to a gal, and she caught it like you've just been speaking about. She saw it with the disconnect. She goes, "Oh my God, this is," and I said, "Yeah, that's it." So that's 6 and 7 when you were talking about, you see that, like with the dream, you knew to take it to 6 and 7. And that's just such a huge waking up process in this journey. And I said, this is where 6 and 7 come in. I said, it's like the defects of characters are like your toaster goes wonky, and you want to keep so you take your toaster back into Target and you say it's defective, and you just hand it over. They said they'd fix it, you hand it over, you give them the toaster. And I said, and then you go to 7, and your humility is that you know that it's going to work, and they're going to come back with the new product, and then you go from there. And she could see that, and this gal is just, she's so marvelous. She's so up for it. I mean, it's just, I didn't have a lot of words when I first came into the program. My speech was, I was usually just flabbergasted at what I was watching my whole life. And you have this ability to like narrow stuff way down to where I only have to use a few words, and their light bulbs go off. And I can't even express to you what that means. How, God dang, it's fabulous. Thank you. I mean, geez Louise, I'm really happy about this whole thing. That's why I keep coming back. I can't thank you enough. I mean, the gals I'm working with, it's just, they're so happy. They're just up for it, And
Great.
when
Yes.
you described about the open, honest, and willing, I'm not really capable of any of that. And you made it possible for me to just sit there and have open, honest, and willing. It's like, it just happens.
Yes.
It just happens. It's just amazing to me. I'm still so stoked. I've got
Yeah. Good.
14 years in this, and I am still just as stoked today as when I first heard it. I am a missionary, actually. You're right. So I will be back.
Great. Yes. That's
Thank-
good.
Thank
Thank
you,
you,
Ruby.
Ruby.
Thank you,
Well,
hon.
maybe I'll have to have a recording of Ruby and PK. Yeah. All right.
Well,
Okay. Gonna
we're
have a long
happy.
ritual, waking up and going to sleep.
Yeah,
All
we're
right.
just happy little buggers.
let's say goodbye to everyone, I guess, then. There's Kerry. Kerry is in Hawaii. Now, I first met Kerry and he was in Minnesota. Now he's in Hawaii. Yeah.
That's right. Traveling lighter. Yeah. Doing laundry
Been
right now.
traveling-
but yeah. I got to do laundry, Paul. I'm freaking folding laundry. I'm just focused, you know?
Yes. Good. That's good, bro.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll be seeing
Everything's good.
you sooner or later.
Yeah. It's coming along great. We'll look forward to having you out here. Thanks, Paul.
Great. Thank you. There's PK. Nice to see you, PK. Long Island City.
Forget about it.
Yeah, forget about it. Walter, brother from another mother. There's Paul. Nice to see you, Paul. Yes. We got Stefan on having never left. Ruby Rose. We don't forget our missionaries, Ruby. Don't worry. Yeah. When you finally return, you'll get a hearty handshake. Yeah. We got Gary. Gary C. Yes. More will be revealed, Gary. Yeah.
Great.
We got Roman. It's always nice to see Roman. Roman is yeah. Nice to see you, Roman. We've got Alex. There she is. Yes. We got Mickey. Mickey, the matriarch. Yes. We got Michael, Stacy. Thanks, Michael, for the job. Thank you for all the service and
Absolutely.
yeah,
Pleasure.
it's great. We got also we're cooking something up for December 11th, maybe. So I don't know who you can get in touch with, but people are going to come where I live, and we're going to have maybe a day or two something. We haven't figured it out yet, but we'll have people over at the house, and we'll have some whatever.
That's right.
I won't. Yeah, I won't be there, so it's.
Well, you better be there.
No, it's happening. It's happening.
That's right. So, if you have a inclination, speak with people, and we're up in Novato, California, and December 11th was a Saturday, and we'll probably do it maybe Saturday and Sunday or something. So, if you can make it, we can meet live. Hopefully, everyone will have pants on or dresses or something. So, let's yeah. I'll finally see what kind of shoes you wear. Yeah, stuff like that. All right. So yes. So we have Joseph from France. Nice to see you, Joseph. Yes. Yeah. We may be doing something in Italy too, Joseph, later on in maybe next May. You know, if we're alive and everything else. So yeah, we're planning on maybe doing a weekend there. Near Pescara, outside of Rome, a couple hours east of Rome. All right, we got Jacob C. from Seattle. Also, we're going to do some talks in Moab next week, in Utah. So I think we're going to probably broadcast something, but yeah. So if you're interested in that, the information's on the website, 11th to the 15th. We got Jacob, we got Mike P. Nice to see you, Mike. We got Nina. She's one of the co-conspirators over at this December 11th. We got Eligio, King Baby. Nice to see you, Eligio. We got Jane. Yes. Let's see who else. We got Chris. We got an iPhone. We got Gabe. Always nice to hear from Gabe. And we've got these folks, and we've got, that's about it. Nice to see everybody. Yeah, we'll be here tomorrow, Saturday, 1 o'clock. It's a live meeting, and we'll Zoom it. And yeah, thanks. See you guys.
Thanks, Paul.
Thanks.
Thank you, everyone.